Hey everyone, welcome to the Coach Catalyst podcast. This show is about helping you grow as a coach by standing on the shoulders of giants. Each show, you get a different mentor in your ear. The early motivations, the successes, the failures, the tools, the tricks, and the insight into where the industry is going. All of it so you can make your own dent in the world. Remember, success leaves clues. Now, without further ado, on to the show.
Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Coach Catalyst podcast. I'm super pumped that you're here and spending this time with me. I'm your host, Trevor Whitwer. On today's episode, I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Alex Povey of Remote Coaches. Now, Alex today spends his time helping health and fitness coaches build amazing businesses. But he doesn't have the typical fitness pedigree. He didn't have a gym. He didn't grow up as a personal trainer. He got into this from a different world. And because he had a passion for fitness and he saw a need where personal trainers didn't have clients and wanted to solve that need. He wanted to help them get more clients because he had the skills in sales and marketing to do that. And then COVID hit, so he had to shift his business model and go online and help coaches in that manner. And he's been super successful with it, creating an awesome curriculum that helps coaches build amazing businesses and change a bunch of lives. So not only do we get into Alex's backstory, spent some time DJing in Dubai, but I also asked him if a coach was just getting started today, no online presence, what should they do? And he laid out a beautiful step-by-step process. And then I also asked, what should coaches be thinking about today that are online? And he gave me the 3 B's, and we get into all of it in this episode of the Coach Catalyst podcast. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Alex Povey. Alex, man, thanks so much for coming on the Coach Catalyst podcast.
Great to be here. Absolute pleasure.
It's fun. It's fun to kind of catch up, but in like a public setting, because you have a ton of knowledge and a ton of insight that you're going to be able to kind of share with our industry that I'm really excited to get into. But let's kind of go back. So you serve the fitness industry and you serve like remote coaches. So yeah, probably fitness is a big portion of it, but there may be other people that fall into it. But you don't necessarily come out of this space, right? You aren't like growing through the personal training space and then all of a sudden got into this. And so let's kind of look into your background a little bit. Like, what got you interested about this space and wanting to serve this space?
I think I've always had a passion for fitness. And when I was growing up, I was with a pretty rough crowd. And I was going down some questionable paths, let's put it that way, with some drug use, it going from some light stuff to some harder stuff. And fitness became an outlet and a place to go instead of doing those things. And so it was almost like this crutch, so to speak, to keep me on the straight and narrow. And really, when I was growing up, I used to leverage the gym a lot just to keep myself on track and make sure I wasn't going too far down the wrong path. Long story short, I actually made a very big decision to get out of the group that I was in because they were just going harder and harder down a deeper and darker hole. And I actually moved to Dubai. This was at the age of 18. I just turned 18 because it was really the only solution to getting out of the environment and getting away from drug use. Because I don't know if you know about Dubai, and you probably do because most people do at this stage, but you cannot do anything there. If you get caught with a vape with THC in it, I think it's called THC. I can't even remember anymore because I don't do anything. But you know, like what's in cannabis, if it's in a vape, like you go to prison. If you get caught with anything, you go to prison. And there's very tough, severe punishment for doing anything with drug use. And so I thought, okay, if I go there, then I'm basically closing that door and I'm opening a new one. And fitness then just became a bigger and bigger thing for me. I just got really into fitness, into training, hired personal trainers, hired coaches, hired all kinds of different coaches as well, not just fitness coaches, relationship coaches as well, to really help me with not just fitness, but I wanted to learn more about relationships and being better in relationships. And so I really got into coaching, found a passion for coaching. And then I came back to the UK. I did lots of different things. And then I went into business, set up an e-com business. I'm kind of like fast forwarding through a lot of stuff because I've done so many things that are not relevant to anyone. But I started an e-com business that did very, very well. And we're running a big team, turning over millions and millions of dollars per year in revenue. And then we decided to exit that relationship, kind of like move on and do something different. And that's when I kind of got into the fitness coaching, marketing, business space, so to speak.
Right.
And that was back in 2018.
Okay.
And then we were helping personal trainers on the gym floors build out their businesses until we got into COVID. And when COVID came around, the gyms closed and everyone turned to us and like, what do we do now? How do we take our businesses online? How do we save all these clients that want to leave and cancel and put things on pause? And so that's when our online coaching support and help came into play. We teamed up with another company and we've been doing that ever since. And since then, we've gone solo and just been doing it on our own. And now we're in our 5th year of business doing that.
Oh, that's awesome. And
I went pretty fast there, but I tried to kind of like skim through the stuff that's irrelevant and move on to the important stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's good. So we have some context, and there's probably a few pieces that I want to go in a little bit more depth. But I think this is really interesting. And back to like when you got out of the life you were in, where do you think the self-awareness came from? Like, because not everyone does this, right? Very few people, like when they get caught in that trap and that social structure and they just stay there until something really, really bad happens. Where do you think your self-awareness came from, where you were like, okay, I see where this is going and I see the end and I don't want that? Was there like an event, or was there something that happened that kind of triggered that? Or was it just kind of a thing that just you figured out?
I think what saved me was good parenting. I was being brought up just by my mum. My mum divorced, but my mum was a great parent. And what I mean by great parent is she was very flexible and she was very understanding and she was very compassionate. And she didn't put me in a place where I wanted to rebel. And she instilled good traits and characteristics in me. And I think she knew that I would find my way and find the right way. And I think a lot of credit is due to my mum for letting me explore and experiment, but then having faith that I would find the right path eventually. Because a lot of kids, they get maybe beaten and discouraged and punished. And I think that can work for some people. But if you have rebel tendencies, and I do have some rebel tendencies, that can push you in the wrong direction and down a deeper, darker hole, in my opinion. She didn't do that. She just let me experiment and figure it out for myself. And like, I had ambition, you know, I wanted to do great things. I wanted to have my own business. I was selling sweets at school. I was trading things. I was always doing stuff, you know, like entrepreneurial. So I always wanted to be like my own boss and successful. And I knew I had more to do in life than just go to my friend's house and smoke weed and take drugs. And so I think I just kind of figured it out and found my way. And want to give credit to my mum really for letting me experiment and just find the path, you know, find the path that I should be on.
As a coach that runs challenges, I needed my life back. I had stuff all over the place. A Facebook group for community interaction, Google Sheets for check-ins and measurements, and was drowning in email communication. As my challenges grew past just a handful of people, I started to notice clients were falling through the cracks. I began researching virtual assistants because I just couldn't manage it all. And truthfully, the client experience was going down the drain. Luckily, a friend recommended Coach Catalyst and just told me to trust her. I'm sure glad I did. Now I can run my challenges with 2 or 200 clients with just a few clicks. The lessons get delivered on the right days, the accountability happens automatically, and most importantly, the communication is all in one spot. I even created 2 new challenges from the Coach Catalyst library. Best part, didn't have to change a thing. I used to spend 15 minutes just trying to log into all the apps I needed. Now I log in and my dashboard tells me who needs a shout out and who needs a kick in the butt in about 15 seconds. I feel like a huge weight is lifted off of my shoulders. I can finally spend my time coaching again instead of worrying about all the admin work. Do your brain a favor and get Coach Catalyst.
That's so powerful, because probably most parents, so I have 2 young kids. And so like, if I was in that situation, I don't know if I would be able to like kind of let them figure it out. Almost like that takes a really strong person versus just to say like, this is dumb, stop doing it, and put things in place which may have actually made things worse, you know, depending on, she must have really understood your personality and what you needed to be successful and kind of allowed you to figure it out on your own.
Absolutely. And if you think about it, right, there's no right or wrong answer, and no one knows what they're doing when they're parenting. And I don't have kids, so I know nothing about parenting, and I'm not going to pretend to be an expert. But you've just got to try and use your intuition, I guess, with your kids, and try and do what you think is going to lead to the best result. And some people get it right, some people get it wrong. And I think some of it is part luck and part chance, Do you know what I mean? Like with some kids, that approach won't work. With some kids, it will. But some parents won't even try it or do it or try a different route. And so I guess I got lucky, like I figured it out. I had a good parent. She gave me the right approach for my personality. And as a byproduct, I turned out okay in the end.
Right.
A lot of my friends didn't.
And then like going to Dubai, was that just like, hey, like where's the one place that I basically can't do anything and it will completely separate me from it? Was that why you chose Dubai, or was there another connection to that?
So back then I was actually a DJ, and this was probably like complementing the usage that I was taking, and the things I was doing, right? Because it goes hand in hand with the industry of being a DJ, of partying and late nights and all that kind of stuff. This opportunity just happened to come up in Dubai to open up a club, be a resident DJ out there in a club in the Middle East. And I was like, you know what? This is my exit strategy. Let's do this. And I've reached out to I think it was like a promoter that was running the clubs out there. And I said, I want that position. I'm ready for it. What do I need to do? And then within a couple of weeks, I had a plane ticket, hotel booked, and I was gone.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you still do some DJ stuff, or?
Not really, no. I did a bit at like university. I did like house parties and stuff. I played like in a villa in Ibiza like about a year ago, 2 years ago. I do like the odd thing, but I've sold all my stuff. I rarely do it, and I live a very different lifestyle now. Like I'm the opposite to a DJ. I'm in bed by 9 o'clock, waking up at 6 o'clock these days. Don't drink. When I do drink, it's alcohol-free beer. Like I'm the polar opposite of what I used to be. I'm just like health, wellness, all the way right now. Completely different person.
And you said fitness was like a piece early on that really helped you kind of make strides in moving towards a healthier lifestyle. Was that early on, like 12, 13 or like 16, 17, or when did you really start getting into fitness?
More like 17, 18. Yeah. 17, 18. Yeah. Just about them. Mm-hmm.
So was it then just kind of like lifting weights? Was it running?
Pretty much.
Okay.
No, it was weights. Yeah, it was weights. And I wanted to build a nice physique. Yeah. And I was kind of drawn to lifting weights when I first went in the gym. Obviously, I had no clue, no idea. We used to go on bodybuilding.com back then. And that used to be like the go-to place to get workouts and things. And then I just experimented, built up some confidence. And then I had a trainer for like 3 years who I worked with, and then went through a series of online coaches as well over the course of many years. Yeah.
So, I mean, you've really been connected to the industry from a consumer standpoint.
Oh yeah. From a very kind of not early age, but 18, and I'm 35, I think this year. I can't even count how old I'm getting, but yeah, I'm 35, right? So that's a decent amount of time, in the space as a consumer, consuming the products, spending money on the services and products, trying different products, personal trainers, online coaches, relationship coaches, like everything, I'm very pro coaching and very pro this industry. And I'm a buyer. I'm not just someone that helps that industry. I'm a buyer. I'm a consumer of the product. That's how much I love it and believe in it. Yeah.
Which also probably gives you a unique perspective if you're helping someone maybe improve their marketing or improve their message, because you could very well be like talking to yourself.
Exactly. I mean, I always talk about being in the buyer's mind, because if you can get inside the buyer's mind or the consumer's mind or the customer's mind, then you're going to be able to position yourself to the wants and needs of that person very, very well. Versus if you're looking at it from your own perspective, it's hard to do that. It's kind of like I was having this conversation inside our academy yesterday with a group of our trainers and coaches. they're different people to their clients. And everyone will know this when I say this, that personal trainers and online coaches and people who are fitness fanatics, they're a different breed of people. That's not the consumer. And so what they think is reasonable to give their clients and ask their clients to do is often way more than their clients are capable of doing or implementing or adhering to, because they're just not at the same level. And I think a lot of people overlook that and think that they can give their clients what they would do, when in reality, you've got to basically reduce it down or strip it back maybe 50, 75% just for the client to be able to adhere and comply. And you only get this from being in a buyer's mindset or in a consumer's mindset, not from the seller's mindset. And that's, I think, one of the things that I've learned over the years. And I'm able to teach that as a buyer to the clients.
Are there any like frameworks or strategies that you use with coaches to help them get into that kind of buyer's mindset? Or do you have any like worksheets that they fill out or a series of questions that they go through to really get a good idea on what it's the perspective of the buyer's mindset?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to really like knowing your audience, there's many different ways you can do it. But we have a simple sheet with 5 questions on it that our clients go through to really identify who they're looking to target, what is really going to be the things that that person is going through, both physically and mentally, maybe how they're feeling about those things, and then what would be the potential solutions. And just through that exercise alone, it doesn't necessarily give you everything you need, but it's a starting place that starts that conversation in that person's mind for them to start thinking about their clients and how their clients are thinking. And then over time, you can obviously develop that out. And I suggest that my clients look at their applications, look at what people are saying on their applications when they apply to work with them. Listen intently on those calls, those discovery calls, those health audits, those sales calls that they're doing, and listen for the language they're using, the things they're saying, the pains and how they're describing them. That's going to give you a really good insight into how their mind works. I actually also brought on my girlfriend, Lara. She's going through a transformation right now, incredible transformation, done really, really well. I actually interviewed her as someone that's going through a program and picked apart how she thought about hiring an online coach, what made her choose to hire an online coach, what was the decision of like finally reaching out after multiple times reading the application and then bailing and not doing it, and then how she's feeling now as a customer of that service and how she's feeling going through that process and all the emotions and thoughts and things that are going through her mind. And I gave that to my clients as well, just as like a very good case study of what typically someone is thinking when considering to hire a trainer or online coach. And those are the sorts of things that we cover inside the academy.
Yeah, that's super powerful. I think the language thing is really important because as coaches, sometimes we get into this. So take like toning, for example, right? Like most, you can't tone a muscle, you just get rid of the fat around it. But like using the language that the client uses, like long and lean, like, no, we can't change the structure of a muscle, but by repeating that language to the client and talking about, hey, this program is going to help you get toned, help you create that long, lean look. We're talking to them. We're not just trying to like go up here and that doesn't exist and try and sound like we're really educated, but really connecting with that client on their level. I think is super important when we're doing it.
Exactly. It's about meeting the audience where they're at, right? And if we just go off on like another like sidestep for a second, it's the same with content. I say to the guys inside the academy, you want your content to be something that a 5-year-old could read. Like that's how simple it should be. Because the language of a fitness professional, trainer, health coach, online coach, whatever, is far more complicated and scientific than it should be for the general population. And so again, you have to dumb it down and simplify it and make it work for a 5-year-old child to understand what you're trying to say. And if you can, then the average person will be able to consume it, because especially with online coaching specifically, you're marketing through social media channels. People are not looking for scientific papers and explanations. They're looking for cat memes and entertainment and things that are easy to digest. And so the content that you're creating online should be simple, easy to digest, easy to read, easy to understand, like as little science as possible, but enough to maybe demonstrate your expertise, a nice balance between the two things.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. Well, let's kind of keep along the journey. And so you got into the e-com world, and it sounds like it was doing well. Why get out of that world? Why not just double down on that?
Great question. So markets sometimes change, and I wasn't 100% equity owner. I had a piece of a company, and although it was a good piece, I wanted to own my entire company. And I also wanted to run it operationally how I wanted to run it. So there was constraints with setting that up with other partners. And so we decided it was time to move on and do something else. It was kind of like a stepping stone. I've gone through many stepping stones in life that have been great stepping stones and perfect learning opportunities. And I've leveraged them in many ways and done very well from those. But then I've always just listened to myself and what I want and how I want to live and how I want to operate. And then I always ask myself, is what I'm doing right now in alignment with that? And that's what kind of brought me to my current business, right? I don't want to be tied to a location. I don't want to have a physical space that I have to be in forever, because there's a few reasons for that. Number one, I like to travel. Last year, I traveled 5 big trips throughout the year. I've traveled to Canada this year. And so I'm always away. I'm always traveling. I like to explore. I also want to be flexible and free to move around if needed. Like I'm going to move again in 2 months. I just moved to this place 6 months ago. I'm moving again across the country to a different location further south where it's warmer, and to also support my partner with her career, because she needs to be in a physical location. I don't. But then the goal is to move outside of the UK because it's cold here. I don't want to live in the UK. As much as I love it, I'd rather live somewhere in Europe, maybe Spain, maybe Greece, maybe Portugal. And so the business has to align with that lifestyle and that vision. I'm in lifestyle design, I like to design a life the way I want to live my life. I don't want to be constrained by the business. And that's why people are attracted to the online model, right? Because you're not tied to a physical location. You can move around, you can move country, you can move to the other side of the country, or you could simply stay exactly where you are, train some personal training clients, train some online clients, and that's okay too. It all depends on just the type of lifestyle that you want to live. And that's why I have the business that I have today.
So have all these decisions been like really conscious decisions? Have you kind of like fleshed this all out, written it down? Like, what are my priorities? How do I want to live? Or is it just kind of something that's evolved over time on having lots of different experiences?
I'd say 100% I'm intentional about everything. Everything's intentional. Sure, some things will just happen and materialize organically, but typically there's a roadmap, there's a vision. If I turn to my right over here, there's 2 vision boards, one of my partners and one of mine, everything on it, including where we're moving to next. And we don't even have that home yet, but we're leaving in 2 months. It's on there. It's already defined. Every next move, every next step, probably for the next 5 years, is somewhat crystallized and intentional, so that we know where we're going and we're in alignment with that as a partnership as well, because I think that's really key if you're in a relationship, to create the harmony and create the longevity, to be very aligned with not just where you are right now, but where you want to be in the future. And we're very intentional about all the moves that we're making, even the projects that we're planning. to then create more of the lifestyle that we're looking for. And so, yeah, it's been very intentional. Not everything. Some stuff has just been luck and just chance, but typically there's been a thought process of sitting down, scribbling it down in a notepad, putting it on a vision board, putting it on a wall, having a conversation, speaking to friends, mentors, people I know, soundboarding things. I love all that stuff. I love planning and scheming and thinking about the future. I live for it.
Has that, I mean, do you feel like that's part of your personality, or is it like, hey, I went to this conference, or I learned, or I followed this mentor and kind of started implementing some strategies, and then I really liked where it went? Or is this just like kind of who you are?
Oh, it's a good question. We're getting deep here, Trevor. Asking those like deep, poignant questions. You're getting me to think, which is cool. I don't know how to answer that. I don't know if I have the answer. I want to say, though, that I definitely don't have everything figured out. I'm still making stuff up as I go along. I'm still experimenting with life. I'm still trying to find my way in this sea of opportunity and discovery that we all have. And I'm kind of going on this journey where there's intention and there's purpose and there's alignment, but also I'm open. I'm open to some other things that I've not anticipated that may present themselves. You know, I've got everything I want right now. Everything else is icing on the cake. So I don't have to be over here or over there or doing this or doing that. I know wherever I go, I'm going to enjoy it. You know, so there's intention, but there's also some freedom and flexibility. So I don't feel constrained. That's probably the best way I can answer your question.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. I think that's awesome. So you shut down the e-com thing, or parted ways. And was that when you got more into kind of the marketing agency world?
Exactly. Yeah. Our first business was an agency for fitness professionals. Okay. So we started with the agency, and that was like our first thing that we launched. In close succession, we launched the coaching company for personal trainers on the gym floor.
Got it.
Where I basically built out a very short program to help personal trainers on the gym floor get fully booked. And so those were like pretty much
why go after
at the same time.
After personal trainers on the gym floor? Like, that's an interesting market.
Great question. So having worked with personal trainers and worked with some really good personal trainers, through that experience, I got to understand that a lot of personal trainers were struggling in the industry. And I questioned why. Like, why are they struggling? Because there's an abundance of people all around them. How can they not have clients? They're everywhere, you know? And when I dug a little bit deeper, I looked into the certifications, particularly here in the UK, and I could see nothing real practical or actionable about building a business. And I've built a business, right? Very big business prior to this, and been in sales, sold millions of dollars worth of real estate, you know, successfully. I know how to sell things, I know how to build things. And I was curious, like, why are they not able to build a business where their clientele is all around them? You know, it's simple. Just create relationships and build your business. But no one was being taught what to do fundamentally. And then once they do come into the industry, they're not really being shown by anyone what to do either. Maybe trainers get lucky and they find another trainer in the gym and they go under their wing and they get shown the way and they succeed that way. Or maybe there's a gym manager that steps in and has maybe a weekly meeting and supports them. But generally speaking, the turnover rates are high, right? If you look at the personal training industry, the lifetime of a personal trainer is very low. They come in, they realize, oh, this isn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. I have to actually do lead generation and get clients, and then they end up leaving. And this is great business for the certification companies because if people leave, they can pump more people in. So it's great business model for them. They don't need people to succeed. Sorry if there's any certification providers listening. They don't. Why would they? Because they want to place people in gyms, but they can't place an unlimited amount of people in gyms. They need trainers to leave those gyms to create more spots so they can make promises. We'll get you certified and we'll get you an interview in a gym. Well, that will only happen if people keep leaving the industry or new gyms open. But there's more people coming into the industry than there is gyms opening. So it's a great model for them if people leave. And that's why I don't think there's anything really good in these certs to help people succeed in the industry. And I was like, you know what? I'll solve that problem. And that's what I started to do.
So was it did you start with like just one-to-one mentoring, or did you create like kind of a coaching program, or what was the model early on?
One-to-one on 4 pieces of paper. So I basically prospected the gym I was in. I got the trainer that I was friends with to introduce me to some other trainers who he knew were struggling. And I said, get me meetings with all of them and let me present something to them. Actually, no, that was the second phase. Let me backtrack. The first phase, actually, no, that's not how it began. Now I remember. I was in a gym. It's called Pure Gym, just like a big box gym in the UK. And I was walking through the gym and I saw this trainer basically carrying a mop and bucket up the stairs, which you have to typically do if you're working for the gym, doing contracted hours in exchange for the facility to train in, right? It's pretty typical. Anyway, I got chatting to this trainer because I'm a very sociable guy. I'll speak to anyone. I said, hey, how's your business going? And he's like, yeah, not very well. Not really got many clients, not really picking up any clients. I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like what seems to be the issue? He just said, well, there's no one here to train. And in my mind, I was like, there's millions of people all around you. I didn't say this to him, but I was like, they're everywhere. I can see all of them right now. Why can't you work with any of these? I didn't say this to him, but I said, hey, listen, let me show you what I think you can do to get clients and give me 30 days to do it. I'll help you. I can show you what to do. And he looked at me a little bit funny and he was like, not sure about this. I could tell what was going on in his head. And I pressed. I was like, honestly, give me 30 days. I will show you how to get clients. Anyway, I left the gym thinking I'd convinced him to work with me. I gave him my number and I said, reach out, we'll get you signed up, etc., etc. Didn't hear anything for like a couple of days. And then he just rings me and he says, okay, cool. I'm open to doing it. Let's do this. And that's how it actually begun, because when he said yes, I was like, oh shit, now I need to deliver on this promise, because I didn't know what the solution was. I just thought I'd take a chance and see if someone would bite. And then I basically just got 4 pieces of paper, wrote down like some strategies on it, met him in a wine restaurant 4 times over the course of 30 days. And he managed to get 11 clients and contracted £2,000 in income, and I only charged him £200. So he made a 10x ROI in investment, and that was the beginning. And then I went into the other gym and started to get the trainer to put me in touch with other people, and I scaled the price up a little bit and refined it down a little bit, and then just started building my first set of case studies that I then took those case studies, turned them into ads, marketed that, and then built the business off the back of it.
So what were some of the strategies? What were some of the strategies that you gave this guy early on?
It was so basic, Trevor. It was just like the simplest stuff. Okay. It's so like obvious and like basic that I don't know why anyone would pay for it, but they did, because it's kind of like a trainer. Sometimes it is pretty straightforward in terms of what you need to do, but someone needs someone else to tell them what to do in order for them to do it. You know, some people know what to do, but they just don't do it because they want that approval, or they want that external input to validate what they were thinking anyway. Same kind of principle, I think, to a degree. But essentially very simple, right? I'd say what we need to do is we need to dedicate time in your schedule to actually going out there and prospecting, because this is what no trainer's doing. No unsuccessful trainer anyway. I said, let's put some actual time in your diary. Let's dedicate some time to going out, shaking hands and making offers. And what I had to do is I had to basically get them to put it in their calendar and commit to doing it, just like they'd get their clients to commit to coming to a session. And that then increased their probability of doing it, right? If you plan and prepare, you're more likely to execute. So that was one strategy, get them to commit. Then I had to physically like pump them up and like pep talk them into, you need to hit the gym floor and I want you to go speak to 3 people. And I want, when you go and speak to those 3 people, this is what I want you to say. And basically it was strike up a conversation. I can't remember the exact wording, but it was strike up a conversation, ask them when they're next training. When they give you an answer, say, hey, I'm going to be in the gym during that time. Do you want to grab a free taster session with me? I'll take you through some exercises and show you some things you can go and implement. They would get people to agree. They'd get people into a taster. 1 in 3 of those tasters would typically convert, rinse, repeat until you're fully booked. And then it was about retention and selling packages and positioning the outcome and the results, not the sessions, to increase the conversion rates. And there was some sales stuff in there as well, but it was pretty basic, fundamental lead gen on the gym floor. And it only worked with PTs on the gym floor because it was easy. Because the clients are there in front of you. You just have to walk up to them. Not like online where you've got to use social media and email and ads and all that kind of complicated stuff. It was literally just walk up to someone on the gym floor, and it was very easy. And so I could turn around results very quickly. I'd get crazy results in 30 days, and that was it. But it was kind of like a very limited business because I could fix their situation in 30 days. So you can, one, only charge so much for that. And then two, they don't really need you after that unless they want to do something else. So the lifetime of the customer is very short.
Right.
So I realized quite quickly that there's only so big you can create that business. There's only so much you can do with that business because there's only so much you can teach when it comes to building a personal training business on the gym floor. And when I realized that anyway, the gym's closed. And that's when we pivoted.
Got it. So it's really what COVID made you change your business model to an extent and get into the online world and get into online coaching. Exactly.
So I would say the pandemic was the best disaster that we could have ever hoped for us and our business. Now, I appreciate a lot of people got destroyed during that situation, and a lot of people got sick and lost their lives. And I'm not disputing any of that. And my heart goes out to those people who really suffered, because a lot of people did. I'm just speaking personally for our business. Sometimes a disaster leads to an opportunity, right? It was a disaster for us. The gym's closed. Our whole business model was dead, just like the personal training model at that time, unless people transitioned online. So we had to be savvy, we had to be quick, and we had to make moves. And that's what we did. We made moves, we pivoted, and we partnered. So we leveraged a strategic partnership. You'll know who it is, Dave Smith, and the Online Trainer Federation, which now is in new hands. And we started running ads for them with our agency to bring in revenue. And then I also started coaching and doing sales in that business to help Dave Smith grow that business. And we did that alongside him. And we became strategic partners, helping him build that business to where it was before it then got sold and everyone exited again. Yeah.
My favorite thing about Coach Catalyst.
One of the things I love most about Coach Catalyst.
There are lots of things I love about Coach Catalyst.
And the reason why I love Coach Catalyst is that
the accountability off the back of that
is simplicity.
The support is amazing.
It allows me to give so much of me to my clients.
The drip feeding of content.
I can schedule lessons for my clients in advance.
Game changer for freeing up time.
It gives me my time back.
It's so simple and so easy.
Hi, I'm Kane, the founder of Coach Catalyst, the #1 accountability and communication software on the market today. We help coaches just like you keep their clients accountable and scale their business beyond what they've ever been able to do before. So if that sounds like something you want, let's take a look at how we can help. So Coach Catalyst was built on the 4 C's of coaching. Those are content, communication, community, and consistency. So for content, you need to go beyond just workouts and deliver the whole experience for the client so they get the results they deserve. For communication, you need to own your communication. If you don't own the communication, you don't own the client. So make sure you stop texting clients and use a centralized platform. For communities, get off of Facebook groups and take ownership over your social group with Coach Catalyst communities. And for consistency, the foundation of all results for clients, we took the best-selling book Atomic Habits and built all these fundamentals right within our app that's going to guarantee to get your clients the best results possible. If you want to start using the 4 C's with your clients, content, connection, community, and consistency, make sure you run over to Coach Catalyst and start a free trial today.
Which was a really big business. And now, how did you get connected to Dave? Because you guys are on opposite ends of the world or different sides of the world. Yeah. And so was that just like happenstance, or were you out prospecting and like, okay, this is done. Who's doing stuff on online world that I feel like I can come in and help them be successful? Or was there a different way that you did it?
Yeah, great question. So I met Dave Smith. He's in Canada. I'm in the UK via a podcast of one of Dave Smith's competitors. Okay. And these guys, they're actually UK-based guys. They were called Remote Fit Pro. You probably will have heard of them. They were pretty big players. They did pretty decent stuff in terms of sales and volume and helped a lot of people. James and George Crawshaw, they had a podcast called the Remote Fit Pro podcast. I was listening to that podcast because I was just interested in learning and seeing what other people were doing in the industry, in the business coaching space. And I heard Dave Smith on their show. And at the time I was looking for like some new angles and someone to help us like grow our PT business. And so I reached out to Dave actually just before the pandemic. And I said, Dave, you look like you've got a lot of experience. Like you were Canada's top fitness professional back in XYZ. I can't remember what it was.
Yep.
We've got this business over here. It's not a competitor of yours, but I think you can add value and show us some things that we don't know. How much do you want for your time? And I basically hired Dave Smith to consult for us to help us with growing that business. And that's how the relationship began. I was paying Dave to show me what he'd done with the OTF before we were involved in the OTF.
Which like is it a phenomenal strategy? Because like I think a lot of coaches sometimes just ask for something maybe from someone else instead of being like, hey, I'm going to pay you, I'm going to hire you. And so that's the value exchange right there, right? Like, okay, since I'm paying you money, you're much more willing to help me. And then a natural relationship is going to form out of that, right? Which then turned into something much, much bigger. Had you just kind of maybe asked Dave, like, hey, here's how I think I can help you. Do we want to start a strategic partnership? It probably wouldn't have turned out the same way versus you investing in him. And now all of a sudden, like now he's invested in you because of the money value exchange. And then like that just allowed things to build from there.
Yeah, and it turned out to be one of the best relationships I ever created. Me and Dave are great friends now. I just went to Canada to see him and Lucy and their new baby, Una. Spent 2 weeks with them out there. Still great friends. He's a client of one of our businesses, our software company, and we're a client of his UniPro software, and we recommend that UniPro software to our clients inside our academy. So we're still involved in that sense. We're still friends. We'll probably still meet up every couple of years and do stuff together. And I really valued that relationship. You know, like I look up to him like a big brother because he's obviously a decade older than me, and he's lived a lot longer than me. He knows a lot more things than I do. And he's someone that I would genuinely be happy if someone compared me to. So if someone compared me to anyone, I'd want them to compare me to him.
Yeah.
That's how much I like and respect him, because he's just like the purest of purest humans.
Yeah, Dave is an awesome human being. We've had him on the podcast. So
he's great.
If you're listening to this and want to learn a little more about Dave Smith, go back in the archives. I think he was one of the first ones that we did on the podcast. He's an awesome awesome human being.
Coach Catalyst podcast.
That's right. I think he was like part of our launch with their like first 5 or something. And the content he gives out is phenomenal. So definitely check out that stuff.
He's just great. He's killer.
So
if anyone wants to learn about Facebook marketing,
yeah, he's definitely the guy.
I still go to him. I still pick his brains. Yeah.
So why was Dave on this Remote Fit Pro if they're like a competitor to what he was doing? Why was he on their podcast?
Because here's the thing, what I've realized, right? I used to actually do this. I've interviewed, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 Fit Pro mentors myself. And had them on my show and extended them to my audience. I think like when you're just starting out, you have a scarcity mindset and you don't want to be putting other people on or showcasing other competitors to your audience out of fear of losing clients. When in reality, when you get a little bit bigger, and this is what I've understood, is there's enough to go around, and some people are going to pick your competitor and some people are going to pick you. And there's going to be people in their audience that want to work with you. And there's going to be people in your audience who want to work with them. And it's okay. Like you're not going to appeal to everyone. You don't need to. There's enough to go around, provided you've got something different, unique, and a personality to bring to the table. If you've not got any of those things, then you're probably going to be in trouble. You're going to lose all your clients to everyone else. But if you've got something to offer of value, then why should you be scared to collaborate? You know, I just did a collaboration with 14 other business coaches, extended my email list into that pool of email lists, and we all cross-pollinated, because I know there's people in my list that will never work with me because they don't really like me enough to put their trust in me or want to spend time in my academy and working with me. And that's okay. They should find someone else who's a better fit for them. And I want them to. And so I'm extending my reach to other people so the people in my audience can find the right people for them. And the other people in that circle understand the same truth. And they're willing to extend their audience because they're big enough now to know there's enough for everyone to go around, and there's enough to share in the space if we've all got our unique things to offer. And that's what they understood. They understood that by interviewing other people, they could learn, but also they could add value to their own audience, but also they could basically hack into that person's audience as a byproduct, build their own audience by collaborating, and as a byproduct also win.
Yeah, I 100% agree that it's not like a zero-sum game, that there is more than enough to go around. And honestly, like, you just resonate with different people. And so, like, if someone hasn't bought from you and they've been on your list for, years, maybe it's time for them to, find someone else that they maybe resonate with more. And that's cool. More people win and the world becomes a better place. Because, like, I mean, what you guys are doing in helping coaches build good businesses means they're changing more lives, which means they're making the money they deserve, which ultimately means they stay in the industry longer. Because I was looking at a stat the other day, and like, it was like personal trainers, their lifespan is like 6 months. Like, most personal trainers are like out of the industry in 6 months.
It's tiny. Here's my philosophy, right? I want to help more fitness professionals stay in the industry as long as possible, because I know there's going to be a compounding effect on their knowledge, on their skills, on their ability to get results that's going to affect the industry as a whole and drive amazing transformations and results for the general population. We need experts in the industry, and we need more of those experts, but we need to enable people enough time to become experts. And that is my mission, is to help as many people as possible survive the choppy waters and maintain their spot in this industry so they can become great and they can impact people's lives on a really deep level. And that's what drives me, Like, I want people to succeed. Like, I really care about seeing people succeed because I know that everyone is going to benefit as a byproduct.
And that's maybe something that's a little bit different about what you guys are doing at Remote Coaches. Is it's a coaching program where you're helping people be successful. It's not a ebook that they can just kind of go and read and hopefully they take action on. Like, you are invested in their success on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I give out tons of free stuff anyway. People could literally build an online business off the back of the podcast that I run, that you're coming on soon, off the back of the free trainings I do, off the back of just the content I create. I mean, I have people reach out to me all the time who go through my free workshops or challenges, or listen to the podcast that are like, hey, I implemented what you said and I got some clients. And I'm like, great, I'm pumped for you. Like, if you want to build that even bigger, you know where I am, reach out. But if not, I'm pumped for you, Because the people that want to get more help will come to me for more help. Or the people that can't afford to get help, at least I know I'm impacting those people too. And I just feel good at night going to bed knowing that whatever I'm doing, whether it's free content or paid content, it's like making a dent on the philosophy that I have of like helping people succeed long-term in the industry.
I mean, I think that's such a great strategy where you almost give away the information for free, right? But the implementation, that's part of the coaching process. Now that's where you ultimately build the business around, is the implementation and helping people be massively successful and kind of taking things to the next level. Because just like with coaching, right? Just with like training, personal training, weight loss, whatever, like when you hire a coach, your likelihood of success is much higher than if you just go out on your own. I mean, it's no different with business.
Exactly. And for a couple of reasons, you said it, right? Help implementing, because people are basically going to hire a coach for help implementing specificity and accountability. And when people pay, they pay attention. And if people don't pay enough, they don't pay attention, which is why I don't feel these low ticket coaching programs are good for the consumer, because they're just throwaway programs that people can buy for $20. And it's kind of like a pizza. If you don't like it, you can throw it in the bin. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to eat it. Whereas if you drop a significant amount of money on a transformation, you're going to do the work. Like, Lara's spending a lot of money on a transformation right now, paying monthly, a lot of money for the average person. And as a byproduct, she's getting her steps done. She's tracking her calories and macros. She's weighing things out, and she's getting amazing results. If she'd have bought a $20 or £20 program, she would not have the same results, in my opinion. Sure, there's going to be some outliers, and sure, there's going to be some people that just need information, but other people need to pay attention, and they need hold-handing and very specific advice and accountability to get results. And that's what I also offer inside the academy, right? You can go through all my free content, but often people don't treat it the same way as something they paid for. Just like a cheap t-shirt versus an expensive one, right? If I go and buy a budget t-shirt from, say, Primark or Target or whatever, and then I go and buy one from Louis Vuitton or Balenciaga, I'm going to treat those t-shirts very differently, because one is cheap. I don't care if it gets ruined or dirty or lost, but the other one, I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to make sure I wash it correctly. I'm going to make sure it hangs up nicely, and it's going to get cleaned. And I'm going to wear it with pride because I just dropped a decent chunk of change on it. Same principle.
As a gym owner, Coach Catalyst is the key to having low turnover. For several years, I struggled and spent 10 to 20 hours a week communicating with clients via phone calls, Facebook Messenger, email, and text messages. I had tried everything to make my life more efficient. I was at my wit's end. And then I found Coach Catalyst. Since starting the software, I have found a life again, and my clients are thanking me for being so involved in their fitness life. I've cut my daily commitment to interacting with over 300 clients to under 15 minutes a day, and have streamlined my 6-week challenges. I couldn't recommend it more. I just don't know if I would even be here today if it wasn't for Coach Catalyst. If you don't have an account already, you're missing out and not helping the people you could be.
I had a friend that did it with sunglasses. They bought cheap sunglasses forever, and they would just lose them all the time. And finally, they just splurged and bought like a super expensive pair of sunglasses. And he's like, I've never lost them because like I care about them. I dropped, $300-$400 on these things. And so like, I'm going to make sure that they go in their case every time. There's a place for them. And he actually gets the value out of like having sunglasses. So I think that's awesome. So
yeah,
you're in the world right now of online coaching. So like, what is working right now in online coaching from like a lead generation, from an awareness, from an influence standpoint? Like, what are the like top 3 things that most coaches should be working on if they want to, increase the number of conversations they're able to have, which ultimately leads to more sales?
So the first thing, right, and this is timeless, this is never going to go anywhere, and something that will be just as relevant in 6 months and 6 years and a decade from now, in my opinion. And that's word of mouth and referrals. It's never going to go away. It's never going to change because it doesn't rely on a social media platform or algorithm. And so once you get a client, if you have a very systematic referral process and scheme, that can bring you clients every single month. Like, I know people that do very well just from referrals. A big portion of our monthly sales and business is done on referrals. And if you have the right mechanisms in place, it's a great compounding client generation source, because when a client brings a client, that client can then bring a client, and that client can then bring a client, and it can compound on itself with more clients. And if you're good at getting results and transformations, then that's going to lead to more clients as well, right? So referrals, like borrowing your clients' audience, is just timeless and will be relevant a decade from now until the end of time, in my opinion. So that's the first thing, is you've got to have some system in place for that. Like, you're leaving money on the table and transformations on the table if you're not leveraging that. That should be like one of the number one strategies you're deploying. So referrals. The next thing is, I'm a big advocate of actually paid. and paid marketing. And the reason for that is it's not something I start with, but it's something that I aim to get a client to, because it can be very labor intensive to build your audience organically and find the diamonds in the rough, so to speak, because you've got to sift through a lot of people to find someone who is in the buying pocket, they have a problem, they can't fix it, and they're looking for some help. Versus you can put all of that criteria into an ad and just chuck it up on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, like we're doing right now, and it will scan the entire platform, serve that up to people who don't even know you or exist in your network, and it will catch them and it will get their info, and it will give you an opportunity to speak to a buyer, not just someone who is maybe considering getting in shape, people that are actually wanting to make a transformation. And so having a paid strategy that you can learn and is a simple one is kind of going to help you grow and get to that next level, in my opinion. Now, that's not to say that organic strategy is not something you should be doing or using. I use it. I just use it in combination with the two other things, paying and borrowing. So I spoke about borrowing, I spoke about paying. Organic is slower, and it's more of a spray and pray approach. It's add a bunch of people or do a bunch of reels, try and get the right people to follow you back via your reels or via your adding on Facebook or Instagram, etc. And then hope that there's enough people in there that at some point in the future want to make a change. So it's a great way to start a business and grow a business. But what I want our clients to do is start organically, start making sales, start bringing in profits, create a referral system to create a compounding effect of new clients. Then once you've got some cash on hand, then you can funnel that into ads and put very specific adverts up there to capture the right people that you're looking for, to save you all this manual labor that you have to do on a daily basis, or you run them both side by side like we do. So I have someone growing the network, I have the ads running, and we have the referral system going. We've got those three channels firing on all cylinders. The organic typically takes longer to convert. Paid and referrals convert the fastest. I'd say referrals convert the fastest out of the three, and then paid is kind of like the third. But we can get like sales within the first 30 days running ads. We have people in the academy that have started running ads like this month and netted like 5K in sales and got like 8 clients, just like from the last 30 days. Got people launching and making sales in 7 days via ads. And so ads is like a scary thing for a lot of people, and it should be, because you don't want to mess around with ads if you haven't got a clear offer, a clear market, good organic content, a good sales process, a good price point. I want to caveat, ads are not for everyone. It's not for a newbie who hasn't got proof of concept. Once you've proven that concept out, I think it's a great strategy, and I love it. And there's a reason why I'm spending money every day on ads, because it's profitable. Right. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I think that's awesome and very actionable. So I appreciate the detail on that. So if there was a coach that was offline and wanting to move online, okay, maybe they had a little bit of money in the bank, let's call it $1,000, that they can kind of invest in this change, what would be the first couple things? What would be the first like 2 steps that you would tell that person to make?
Okay, so we're talking about a brand new personal trainer or brand new online coach with no like clients, nothing in place. Is that right?
No clients, nothing in place. They have industry knowledge. They've maybe worked offline with people, and so they have industry knowledge, but they've never had a client online before.
All right, this is a great question. So this is going to be basically a reflection of what I do inside the academy, right? So if someone signs up to work with me, the first thing I do is obviously get them orientated with how everything works in terms of how to communicate, yada, yada, all that kind of stuff. Once we've got through like the orientation, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to come up with your offer. Okay. And your offer is going to be who you want to target, what you want to sell, what's going to be the problem that you're going to fix, how's that going to look in terms of length and price, and what you're going to put inside it, and what you're going to call it. So it's essentially like what you're selling online, because you can't market and make sales if you don't have anything to offer or deliver. So we've got to start with offer and delivery and getting something basic in place, like a beta offer. And then the beta offer can obviously be tweaked, refined, and will evolve over time as you bring on clients. So that's the first thing, because no one's going to start marketing and booking calls if they don't know what they're going to be offering or delivering, because they'll shy away from it. Yeah. And so that's the first thing. And then the second thing, once they've got that in place, I want to get them to set their sales systems up. So their core booking processes, messaging processes, calendars, getting familiar with Zoom and a sales script or framework. Just they know what to do if someone is interested in that offer. Okay, see, we've not touched marketing yet, because marketing's irrelevant until you got the systems to handle any interest. Too many people burn through interest very quickly because they don't have the right systems in place. Then once we've got offer, delivery, the sales systems set up in place, before we even touch marketing, we're going to tap into what I call low-hanging fruit. These are people that you've maybe worked with previously who you no longer work with, previous relationships that you've got maybe in real life that we can tap into and see if those people have health and fitness goals, are wanting to fix it, are struggling to fix it, and they're open to some help, and tap into that first. Those are going to be your quickest wins and easiest sales out the gate. Once you've exhausted that, some people come into our academy, can make multiple thousands just from that process. That's when we move into marketing and start posting on socials, start building the audience, start nurturing the social audience that exists. Those are probably going to be the next bit of low-hanging fruit, the easy to grab clientele. And then you start expanding the network and building from there. So you said 2 steps, but I probably gave you about 5.
No,
hey, I'm feeling generous.
Right. I appreciate that. And the listeners will too. I mean, that's a nice, clear framework on, okay, I want to do this thing. What should I be focusing on first? Focus on the offer, focus on your sales system, focus on low-hanging fruit. Where do I already have influence? You know, if I was working in an offline world, like talk to all my previous clients, talk to my current clients, talk to their friend. Like, I mean, try and get connected maybe in your offline market, and then start all of the hierarchy of marketing. I mean, I love it. I think that's awesome. You
got it. Exactly.
So I know you've got dinner plans tonight, but I'm going to hold you for like 2 more minutes. I've got a couple quick hitters. We're going to get away from marketing and online and all this fun stuff. And we're going to talk about some dumb stuff for a second. So first one, tacos, burritos, or quesadilla?
Ooh, I'm going to say quesadillas. I went to Mexico last year and those quesadillas were just memorable. Like, you can't get the taste out of your mind. So yeah, absolutely. But I love burritos, but quesadillas first.
You guys need more Mexican food in the UK. There's just not enough of it there. It's such a great cuisine.
Either. I was like killing Chipotle in Canada when I went out there. But Mexican food, I love it.
Yeah, it's very good. All right. Something you've purchased for like $100 or less that's either provided a ton of value or it's just been awesome.
$100 or less. I'm trying to think.
Books, technology, any gadgets, anything that you use in your everyday life that's like, this thing is awesome and didn't cost very much.
Actually, I'll choose a book because this is a book that I really love. It's called A Mindful Year.
Okay.
So A Mindful Year. I forget the author's name. I think it's Ari, but it's a book that I used to send out to clients. It's a book that is just like a daily read. And it's a book that my girlfriend absolutely loves. And it's a book I'll probably read over and over again because it's just like one passage. It's kind of like the Daily Stoic. I'm reading the Daily Stoic at the moment, where it's just one little piece of wisdom a day. But the Mindful Year has got just some great stuff in it. Like, you read it and I'm like, wow, that's so philosophical. And I love it. I absolutely love it. So it's probably one of my favorite books of all time. A Mindful Year. You're looking it up right now, aren't you?
Yeah, Arya Campbell and Seth. It's like Gillihan are the authors there.
Yeah, he's a coach to one of my good friends. He's not cheap. He's very expensive, and he's awesome. He's a crazy coach, like crazy good coach. Again, a coach. You know, I like coaches.
Right. Coaches are awesome. Daily Stoic, that's another good one. I've got that one sitting on my desk at home. I think that one's great. And I actually just ordered Ryan Holiday's new one with parenting. I think it's like 365 day, like dad something.
Love it.
Yeah, it's great stuff. All right, last one. If you could live in any cartoon world, what cartoon world do you live in for a week?
That's such an interesting question. I'm going to ask Lara this later on. She'll probably know better than me because she watches cartoons. Probably Peter Pan.
Maybe go back to your childhood. What was it?
Peter Pan. Peter Pan.
Pizza? Is that like a UK thing?
Do you not know that? Peter Pan. Let me just type that in.
Peter. Oh, yes, Peter Pan. Peter Pan. Sorry. I thought you said Pizza Pan. I was like, Pizza Pan? I don't know what Pizza Pan is.
Is Peter Pan Disney? I think it is, right?
Peter Pan. I don't know if Disney owns it or not, but yeah.
You know why I like it?
Peter Pan.
Peter Pan is a free spirit. You know, like he just lives this life of just freedom. And that's the life I want to live and do live. And it kind of resonates with me. I've not seen it since I was a child, but I just remember him like flying around everywhere, being very free. And that sums up how I want to live life, is very free.
God, what a great way to just like kind of bring this thing all full circle and back together. I love it. Alex, if people want to find out a little bit more about you, what you've got going on, where you live on the internet, what are some of the best places to learn more about what you're doing?
I'll just give you one, which is the Remote Coaches podcast on all the major platforms.
Cool.
And if they subscribe and they listen to that, then they're going to hear you on there pretty soon. And so that's why I want to direct them there. And there's some great stuff. There's some great interviews. There's some great solo shows. I interviewed my girlfriend Lara about her journey being a client, you know, going through that experience. If people want to find it, they'll find it on the podcast. I just dropped one today. Drop one every single week.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Well, I mean, hats off to you, and appreciate what you're doing in the industry and just helping coaches level up and change more lives and have a bigger impact. So thank you.
Cheers, brother. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm going to go get some steak.
I love it.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Coach Catalyst podcast. If you are a coach looking to do more for your clients than just workouts, give Coach Catalyst a test drive. Try it for 14 days. Jump on call with your personal strategy coach, Ashley, and see how easy technology can be, all for free. Tell them Trevor sent you. Until next time, keep changing lives.